All right, welcome to task number 3. What we're going to do is a series of different processes to help you set up and make sure that you can actually send out emails to your contacts and be able to do what you need to get those messages out. So in the upper right hand corner, you'll see your initials, and in this case it's my initials. You're going to click on that and then go into integrations. In the integrations area, we've got several different integrations. We do have the ability to do Outlook. So if you are using Outlook, you could certainly choose Outlook. Or I'm going to go ahead and choose Google because we have a Google account here. And I'm going to choose Add Google Authorization. In this case, we're going to choose the Google authorization for Workflow Secrets. And it goes through giving you all the legal mumbo jumbo. Go ahead and continue on everything. Scroll down and select those. And it'll take a few seconds, but then it will create that authorization for being able to send out emails. So now I've got the authorization and I'm good to go. You can place a check mark here to make this your default email because this is the only one. It's certainly the default. If you happen to have a Google account, maybe you also have an Outlook account, you could certainly decide which one do I want by default. We do also have the ability to send out using SendGrid. So if you want to use SendGrid, you've got to go to SendGrid, set up an account. Maybe you already have a SendGrid account, which is great. You just need to set up an API key and put that API key into this area, and then you'll be good to go. There's some additional things that you can do with SendGrid, which are amazing. The big advantage of using SendGrid is the number of emails that you can send out. If you're using Google or you're using Outlook, you do have a limited number per day that you can send out. For what we're doing for this purposes, these are sufficient in doing just daily tasks and things. But certainly if you're going to be sending out newsletters and stuff like that, I would advise you to get a SendGrid account. The other option that you could do is if you've got MailChimp. We do also have a MailChimp integration where you can do a similar type of thing where you put in your MailChimp API key. You can identify what tags you want to use to synchronize contacts over to MailChimp, and then those tags become be used for the segmentation and sorting capabilities to send out contacts, newsletters and stuff like that. So we've got several different options for you to be able to send out emails. In this particular case, we're just going to be using the Google option and using it for demonstration purposes. So we're good there. Now, once you have done that, you can do one more thing because we have set up our routine from the previous step. If you've not done the previous step, certainly go back now and do those. It's really important that you do these in order and build upon them so you can see what is actually happening. If you don't go through the process, you don't complete the challenge. So definitely stop this if you've not done step number 2, and we'll pick up once you've done that. Now, assuming you've set up the routines for a new lead, one of the things that you would want to do is think about how would I use these new leads coming in. Typically, you're going to have some sort of website, maybe realtor.com, maybe Zillow, maybe your own personal website, and leads coming in through the system. We've got 2 different options for you to be able to set up. One of which is a email leads option where you can create an email address inside of SAM that you can forward your leads to. It then uses AI to bring those leads into the system. The other option is to create a lead form that can be put onto your website, or your website can call this form if you've already got a form, and we can do some interpretation of field names. I'm going to show you how this particular piece works and just do a very basic skim over so that you can see how do I get a lead in and what does it do if it comes from a form on my website. So I'm going to click on Add Form. It will then create a form entry, in which case there's a few different things that you can do. On this form entry, we come in and click on the little pencil, and we can see the details of what would happen if we use this particular form. In this case, we can give it a title, some sort of form name, and if it's your website, web form, whatever, there are some options for putting in your domain, so some security elements for making sure that if you're using our forms inside, that it will properly link them together and securely so that other people don't try to use your form to fill in fictitious stuff. We have to have your website so that we know the lead source is coming from your website. There's a success and failure option page that you can display. That's optional. You don't really have to touch that. If a lead does come in, how do you want to categorize them? I could say contact may be a category of A. It may be a certain type, in this case lead. It could be a certain status, active, and you can pick and choose from each one of these. Maybe in this case it's a hot lead, that's coming from my website, so I'd want to pick that. What's the milestone? New. What's the source? Would be website. In this case, there's a single source field. What was the source of this lead? Website. And then once again, we're picking that important date of new lead date. This is what we use for our routine, and it's critical that you pick the field, the date field, for the routine that you want to kick off whenever that happens. If you want to add tags to this particular contact, maybe you want to add a MailChimp tag, or maybe you want to add other tags that identify, because it came from this site, it's a certain type of person. You could certainly tag them there. As those fields come in, we also have the ability to map them. Maybe you've got your own form and the field comes in, you can map what fields are on your form versus what fields are in SAM and make sure they get put into the correct place. You can add additional fields and set those up. Pretty much everything is as is for right now for what we want to do, and then you can just click on save. Now, to mimic the concept here is I'm going to do one more thing, and I'm going to click on the little test form button, this little play button. We're going to click on that, and we're going to pretend like the fields that are defined in this are actually the fields that are in your website. Are they? Maybe different fields, but you can set those fields up in this form and make them available. In this case, we're going to put in Larry Jones, 117 555 7777, whatever. And we're going to say Larry.Jones at example.com. So what this is doing is mimicking your website, whatever it is, a form that might get filled out, and if it gets sent into SAM's form integration, what would it do? We're going to click submit. Now at this point the form has been submitted. You will also notice that there's a little bell up here. The little bell identifies that we've got a notification of some sort. We can click on that notification and we can see that we've got a new lead that came in this case, Larry Jones. If I click on it, I can see it. I can click on the open link to open that contact record and see it. I can archive this message, get it off the notifications list, and we're good to go. For what I want to do in this case is I just wanted to get that in there so that you could see it. Now, what I want to do is take us back to the contacts area. We're going to go to the contacts, and you'll see the complete list of names that are in our database. There was 2 that we added initially. There was 20 that we added through the CSV file, and now there's 1 more that's in the list that we just added called Larry Jones. Now Larry Jones is there in your list. One of the things that you can do, and I want to make sure that you know this is available, you may have an extremely long list. Being able to find them, you can certainly click on the little search field here, and we can type in Larry, and it will bring up that name. We can click on Larry Jones, and we can see his contact record, see his information. In this case, the information that was manually entered through our form, first name, last name, phone, and email. And also the categorization. We told it that it was a category A, type is lead, hot, and milestone is new, and then the source is website. So you can set up each of those how you want. If we go over to the important dates field, you can see that the information, the new lead date was entered at 6:20 p.m. and that information is certainly giving you all the different fields of information that changed. The category was changed, the type was changed. So any of these could have routines assigned to them, and whenever a date is filled in, it can key off that routine and you're good to go. Now, one of the things that we can do, we showed the routine list earlier. If I come over here to the routine list, I can see that a routine was initiated on Larry, and at this point there's only 1 activity. We're 0% complete. We've done 0 of them. If I click on them, I can see that it's the introduction email, and if I go to take a look at that, I can click on it. It's an activity that's in my calendar, and I could go to my calendar and complete this as well. Same thing would show up for the activity. If I want to actually do it manually, I can go here to check it off to mark it complete. It has an action that we can run. You could have multiple actions, and you may want to pick and choose which actions you want to run manually. If we had selected that we want to send it automatically, this would have already gone. This action is selected as automatic, and because it's selected as automatic, it would have just gone out. In this case, we're going to take this as a manual process. We can check it off here and click on the run, in which case it brings up the template that was assigned to that action and gives it to us how we had it defined. It goes ahead and pre-fills in the email address. If you want to take a look at what it's going to look like if the merge fields are merged, you can click on the do merge option, and it will take whatever information is in the database and do the merge field as necessary. Dear Larry Jones, and all the information. So at this point, we're good to go there. Down here at the bottom, we can click on turn off. And if I wanted to, I could click on send now, and it would actually send it. There is a little down arrow where I can choose that I want to set it as a draft, or I can send it later. If I want to send it later, I can pick a different date and time. Right now, it is set to send at the time that it was created, because we had told it when to send it. But if we want to change that, we can choose send later. In this case, I'll go ahead and click on send later. And now that activity is complete, so we can just kind of close out of that. You'll see that in the routine itself, it'll identify that the activity has been complete, and because we only had 1 activity in the routine, the entire routine is complete. If there are multiples in there, it would show you kind of a bar graph of how many complete, what percentage complete is this entire list of routine items. If we click on the back button, now I went ahead and sent it. I should have changed the date on that to a different date or a different time. So it should be in my outbox, and it will have tried to send it. Actually, it did try to send it. I would have thought that it would have aired out, but if we click on this, there we go. So all good on that. And with that, basically the entire process for our task number 3 is complete. You're almost halfway through the process. You're you're well on your way to learning how to get from point A to point Z in the SAM software, and we'll take it from this point on the next video. Have a great day.